when we last stopped the conversation, I asked her what kinds of people want to be midwives. Who are the people that go into this kind of vocation, the professional midwives?
That's a good question, Joe. I've spent the last year hopping all over the internet doing research. I can't resist the research pull. But when I make generalizations, when anyone makes generalizations, they're always outliers, and people can say, well, that's not me. And that's true. It's probably not a specific professional midwife here in Idaho. But in my experience, it'd be good paper. If I were still in school, I might be willing to do the research on it. I've found two kinds of women who are drawn to this kind of career. And when I say two kinds, again, there are outliers. Let's leave them out of the equation and talk about the other folks in Idaho that I'm aware of. And they're women that I call P squared. That is privilege on the one hand and patriarchy on the other, and that shapes career choices for these women. So first I want to talk about the women who are influenced by patriarchy. These are ladies who have not had the opportunities that I've had, and many of us have had in Moscow, to go to school, to get advanced degrees, to pursue interests in kind of a leisurely, privileged way. And so maybe they got married at a young age, or maybe they're in a situation where the requirement is pretty much that the woman stays home and she has children and tends household and works kind of as a loving servant. One career that is open to those women and is open locally is that of a certified professional midwife. And that is because it involves women. You don't have to run counter to anything a man might want to hope for. It's economically feasible for women who have a large number of children. There's no question it's much less expensive. Unless, of course, you have a catastrophe, and then it's enormously more expensive. But it's much less expensive to have a baby at home and with under midwife care than it is to have an OBGYN or a family practice doc and deliver in a hospital. So ladies who see themselves in that light, this is a career. They don't need academic background. They have friends who are in this business who will mentor them. And because of the large number of births in that community, they have a steady opportunity to make a little money, and they're always going to have patients. That's not to say that every woman in a patriarchal religion chooses to be delivered by a midwife. That's simply not the case. And in fact, one of our prominent local evangelical pastors insists that his wife and his daughters deliver in the hospital. So you can't say that because somebody is in that kind of a situation that they must deliver at home. That's not true. These ladies are trying to find a way to have professional identity outside the home, and I'm sympathetic to what they do. I don't like it from the safety point of view, but at least I understand why they might have a wish to help other laboring women. The women who really get me agitated are the upper middle class, well-educated, bored white women, and I say white because generally speaking, certified professional midwives across this country, with some exceptions, some demographic exceptions, are white. I'm pretty convinced that they are birth junkies, and they get their little adrenaline rush, which amounts to a fix, helping out and watching laboring and delivering babies. And I can tell you, after seeing hundreds of deliveries myself, it's one of the most exciting things. It doesn't have to be your baby. It doesn't have to be your friend's baby. When you see that little child and that baby cries and he pinks up, or she has beautiful curly hair, and it is beyond special. So that's an attraction. The problem comes in when you don't have enough respect for your clients and the infants that they're going to deliver to get the adequate education. And locally, we have women with graduate degrees who have gone on and understand the academic setting, who have the means to acquire the education that would be appropriate, who could then practice at the local hospital, possibly. I mean, I don't know anything about that, but they could certainly, if they were certified nurse midwives, approach local hospitals and ask if there were a place for them to be cooperatively involved. Instead, you have women who are bored, who have enough money in their pocket to indulge themselves in this hobby, who employ magical thinking contrary to academic training that they've had when they were in school. And I guess as a committed feminist, when I see and hear about women who are laboring, who want pain relief and are told that they can do this, they can manage this, and an ill-educated woman is getting ready to be a baby catcher, it makes me really sad. And I'm really concerned in Idaho, where we hear so much about right to life and have so many strictures on women's personal choices about carrying a pregnancy through, that these midwives clearly are licensed by the state to conduct these deliveries. So I guess the care and concern for an unborn infant stops as soon as that mom is in labor, because if you really cared, you would have the expectation that she might have more education than, say, a mortician in Idaho who has to have a couple of years of college and supervised training by professionals in the field. Or maybe she ought to have more training than someone who makes dentures and still has to have 2 years of college and pass pretty rigorous exams, take a lot of facial anatomy and physiology. So what does it say about Idaho when we're willing to let our mothers and their infants be delivered by somebody who finishes high school and reads make-believe magical literature about obstetrics?